What is up, you guys? It's a new week, and yes, we are back on the couch. This is very fitting for me because this is pretty much where I am every Saturday because I'd be watching all the college football games and like going through like right now, Minnesota and North Carolina is on my TV. They're up 21-13 in the third quarter. So I was like, this episode, it's going to be on the couch. Not going to be talking about much in this episode. I am going to talk about Colorado State's head coach, Jay Norvell, making his comments about Coach Deion Sanders. We're going to talk a little bit about Eagles and Vikings game and why I'm not really impressed with the Eagles right now, even though it is a very early observation and assessment of them. And I am going to finally talk about Noah Lyles' comments that were made pertaining to the World Championships. I feel like I never really talked about it because I kind of saw both sides. I kind of understood what he was saying, which for a lot of people, they don't agree with that. But I felt like I kind of got it. So we're going to talk about those three things in this episode. So it's going to be a quick one, but it's going to be a good one. So stick around. Haven't been keeping up with college football. Colorado is the talk of the town, right? And obviously, we've kind of went through our analysis of the team and a few of these wins, but they are playing Colorado State, and I'm pretty much in favor that they'll pretty much win by a big margin. But there were comments made by Colorado State's head coach, Jay Norvell, where he pretty much directed it specifically to Colorado because in the quote that he says in this radio interview that he's doing, he goes, I don't care if the people in Boulder hear this.
Today, and I don't care if they hear it in Boulder. I told them I took my hat off and I took my glasses off, and I said, when I talk to grown-ups, I take my hat and my glasses off. That's what my mother taught me. So,
my mom raised me to take my glasses and my hat off when I talk to grown-ups, and that's what I'm going to do, which was a direct shot at Coach Deion Sanders because he wears glasses and a hat. And it sparked this whole thing, and I've kind of touched on this a little bit, or a lot of it, I guess you could say, on TikTok. But the problem that I had with the comment maybe necessarily isn't what he said, which can insinuate many things. You can insinuate that you are saying that Coach Deion Sanders' mother didn't raise him right. You can insinuate that. That's, if someone heard that comment, that's what you would assume, that kind of that's what you're trying to say, is that I wasn't raised right and that you were raised better. Or maybe there's this hierarchy that you're the more morally compass person than the other, right? My problem with the comment is that a lot of these coaches, when they come to play Colorado, I feel like they fall into the trap of not being able to separate the two, which I think Coach Prime in Colorado can do very well. They don't take this personal, but because you hear them talk so confidently about themselves, I think teams and coaches start to think that it is an indictment on their weaknesses or inefficiencies. Whereas if you listen to kind of Coach Prime, and you could go back to Jackson State, I feel like he never was directly trying to bash another team or another coach. He really directed it towards, I feel like my guys are better. And I'm going to tell you why I think they're better. And I think why they're going to go win that game. I felt like that was all. I never felt like he was just specifically going into press conferences and being like, so-and-so, this is to you. I feel like anytime it got to that point, it was after a game or after something has been initiated to him that was made personal, where now he has to respond to it. This to me is the same situation. Nowhere in the past conferences have we seen him say, hey, at Jay Norvell, I think you're a horrible coach. I think your guys suck and y'all do this. I haven't heard that. But to hear something like that, where now you're not talking about football, and I said this on TikTok, like once you stop talking X's and O's and we start talking about clothes, we have missed the entire point. Not once have you sat there and explained to me why you feel like your team is better. You haven't explained to me, oh, this is what we're going to do to try to slow Shador down so he doesn't have a 400 game passing yard on us. This is what we're going to do to try to stop their running game with Dylan Edwards. This is what we're going to try to do to kind of stabilize Travis Hunter instead of allowing him to be on an island by himself. Let's run some layers in our offense. I haven't heard you give me details of what you're going to do to win the game. You're talking about some doggone glasses and a hat. What does that have to do with the game, though? What does that have to do with how your team is going to try to beat this team that has all the momentum, all the rhythm, all the attention? And instead of using this as an opportunity to shed light and to shine on your program, your guys, and yourself, you use this as a chance to talk about another man, glasses and a hat. That makes zero sense. I feel like I'm always in the philosophy of what they tell you when you play sports. Hey, These scouts may be coming to see this 5-star recruit, but while they're watching him, they got to watch you too. So how about you go out there and ball and make some eyes turn? Why not sit there and use this as a top opportunity to highlight your guys? Hey, man, I got this quarterback. He can sling it. He going to go up there. Why not? Hey, I got this DB. Hey, scouts need to come. When they see us play Colorado, this is who they need to be spotlighting. I got this wide receiver. He can make big plays. Use this as a chance to use the spotlight to your advantage as well. You might leave with an L, but at least you leave in there with something else other than just that. Use this as a chance and say, you know what? It's a robbery. Let me highlight my guys. Let me give them some confidence. Let me give them some juice. Let me talk about my team. But when you start talking that talk about another team, you really have lost all of it. You have lost the battle before the war even started. Once you start coming up with that, glasses and a hat, if I'm Colorado, I'm sitting there looking at you like, oh, man, they done. They done. I got your coach talking about something that has nothing to do with football, which tells me he doesn't actually think y'all are equipped to beat us. Because if he did feel that way, he'd be saying that in the press conference. He'd be talking X's and O's. He'd be talking about things that pertain to the game. Your coach over here talking about my coach's attire. So that tells me he didn't look at the scouting report and he's a little worried. He's looking like, might not be able to stop that quarterback, that Sanders boy. I don't think we're going to be able to stop him. Travis Hunter, dang, he played both sides of the ball. We ain't got nobody to really stop him offensively. Oh, there's running game. Oh, man, their defense, they blitzing now, bringing people off the edge. I don't think we got no answers for this, so let me talk about something else. Let me get in the headlines and in the highlights for something else. But that's the wrong game to play. I think what Colorado and Coach Deion Sanders do so well, the man's name is Prime for a reason. And he's made it clear Prime and Deion are two different people. He knows how to split the two. He understands what is the bravado and the personality that brings the cameras, brings the attention, brings everybody to the games. But he also understands I'm Coach Prime here. My guys are equipped to win this game. Yeah, we could deal with the cameras and the attention, but at the end of the day, the goal is we got to win. Ain't nobody coming if we're losing. And I think other teams are starting to lose sight of that. They think like, let me attack his character. They're attacking the man. Y'all aren't telling me about the game, though. Y'all are taking it personal. And he keeps saying that it's personal. He don't want it to be personal, though. He don't. Y'all are making it personal. That was the biggest thing when they played Nebraska, because like they said, some things were said. Shador said it. Some things were said about my pops that I ain't like. It was personal. It's some things you shouldn't have said. It's personal. They only make it personal when you start talking. When they played TCU, it wasn't really personal. It was, let's make them believe. Two different tones. TCU, it was, hey, let's make them believe in us. We got this. We us. That was the talk. It wasn't about, oh, it's personal. It was, hey, let's make them believe. They don't believe yet. Let's go do this against a team that just played in the national championship. Let's go do it for us. Let's believe in us. That was the attitude, right? You play Nebraska. It's personal. Things were said. Now you got to play Colorado State. What's the tone again? It's personal. Things were said. The trend, the evidence. There is nothing that Coach Prime is making personal about these things. Y'all are seeing a confident black man get up there and talk life and speak confidently and positively and with some boldness about his players, and it makes you insecure as a coach. Makes you insecure because you're like, wait a minute. This team only won one game last year. Now they won a couple more, and everybody coming to town to see them. You start looking at yourself and start feeling a little bit of insecurity. Then you get up there and you say, I want to play the game. I want to get into this match with him, but you're losing. You're losing it because the game is to keep it football. You start making it personal for them, they could take that and run with it. They don't need no extra motivation at Colorado as it is. But now you keep adding it because they going to go to war behind their coach. Now it's personal. I just don't get it. You make the comment, and all you doing is putting more money in this man's pocket. I saw where the sunglasses, the buffs that he wears, $1.2 million in revenue sales after he gave his entire team the sunglasses, and he gave them to First Take and Pat McAfee. So all you did was bring more attention. First, they had a whole stat. Friday, before this game, First Take was there, 60 minutes. Pat McAfee was there. College Game Day was there last week, and then Big Noon Kickoff is going to be there again. They had a stat. College Game Day had never even went to Boulder for the first time since 1996. I was born in 1998. So they wasn't even there before I even touched the earth. Now they're there. Everybody coming out to see what these guys are doing. I just feel like these coaches got to be a little bit smarter. Keep it football with them. They don't need no more motivation than you start playing in a game that they could do very well, which is they could separate the two. I could give you some talk, but I could really go out here and whoop you too. Like, that's what they really trying to explain to folks. Like, y'all letting these cameras and this attention make you think I'm distracted. We distracted. Nah. Y'all keep talking. So now we coming back to reality every week. Like, oh, okay. Bet. Keep it football with them. I am suspecting, because their schedule is going to get harder with Pac-12 play, you're not going to see much talk from Oregon. I don't think you're going to see much talk from USC. I think certain teams aren't going to feed into it. It's like, man, we got to keep this football, because you're looking at what it becomes when you make it personal with them. It doesn't end well. I think what you're going to see from a lot of these teams, we're going to keep it ball. Maybe the talk is after. Maybe. But I feel like a lot of these teams just keep it ball. Don't get into this game with them, because you're going to end up losing. Because then you're going to go out there more worried about what you said. Can I bag up what I said, instead of, let me just go play? Because to Colorado, they're not thinking like, I got to bag up what I said necessarily, because everything I said was about myself. I'm speaking confidently about me. I'm not talking about you, but you talking about me. So now you got to do extra. You got to prove that what you said was right about what you said about me. And you got to make sure you do extra to make sure I don't make you look crazy out here. It's a lose-lose game, man. Like, use it to the advantage of what it should be, which is attention on schools. When you go play this team, use it as a way to get attention on your school. I feel like that's always the goal, right? To get attention on your players and your guys. Don't make it about hats and sunglasses. Like, come on. Now when this man win and he got to meet you midfield with his hat and his sunglasses off, you going to be mad. Whole thing. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. But to each its own. Hopefully the lesson will be learned eventually. I will say this about the Eagles-Vikings game, and this is more so about the Eagles, not really the Vikings. I don't know what the Vikings need to do. I think everyone thinks it's a quarterback problem. I don't know if it's a quarterback problem, actually. I'm kind of in the middle of it, but I am more so going to say this, and it's going to make a lot of Eagles fans upset. And this has been said by multiple people. From what we are seeing right now, from the game against the Patriots, the game against the Vikings, this Eagles team doesn't look the same. Usually when teams come from Super Bowls, you expect them to be back in the position of the team that you saw last season that's going to get them back there, right? This team is a little flat to me. It's not as explosive. It's not as controlling offensively than last year. Jason Kelce touched on it after the game. He was like, ever since last year, defenses have changed how they played against us. They do kind of unorthodox defensive schemes now that some we haven't seen before, and it's kind of different. So we are now having to adjust mid-game to really offensively get in our rhythm, because now we're seeing different looks. Like, they're not really rushing 4. They might be rushing 3, giving me pressure up the middle, but dropping everybody back. You know, like, he was like, it's just different. It's different schemes now, because they understand that, hey, you have a quarterback who can run the ball effectively and get you yards with his feet. He's strong, and he could throw the ball. So now they're kind of at it a little differently. Jalen Hurts threw for 18 for 23, 193 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. DeAndre Swift was the talk. 175 yards on 28 carries, 1 touchdown. Receiving, Devontae Smith had 1 touchdown, 4 catches for 131. A.J. Brown, 4 catches, 29 yards. My thing is, you know, will we offensively see the Eagles get better as the season goes on? I think that's the question. Because what got them, I feel like, to the Super Bowl was just how explosive they were. I feel like they really threw the ball even more last year than when they ran it. But I do believe in what Jason Kelce said, which is You kind of got to fix yourself to what the game is giving you. For them, they kind of went away from the passing game eventually and said, let's just feed DeAndre Swift and let him cook. And he did. He cooked. I mean, when you're running for 175 yards, I shouldn't go away from you. I should let you eat. I shouldn't worry about how the win looks, because that's what matters, right? Is the win column. They're 2-0. So it's not much to say about it, right? It's not much for me to ridicule in terms of the Eagles are just... No. It's very early in the season. They're 2-0. Matters. But there are things that you're looking at and you're like, could this be a worry later on in the season when a lot of these games are going to be factors in clinching divisions and things of that nature? Like, can this offense continue to kind of have to shift mid-game like this? You know, like, is that substantial to find yourself back in the position you were in last year, which is the Super Bowl? But it's also like, this is a new season with new trials, new mountains to climb. A lot of guys kind of getting hurt. You're still trying to find a rhythm. There's a lot of things, right? But I'm just saying, from looking at it, with this being the second game offensively, it just doesn't seem as explosive. And I don't know. I don't believe this is me saying like Jalen Hurts is the problem. I actually don't think that at all. You look at the numbers, it's very efficient for a passing game. 18 for 23. That means that he's still going through his reads. He's not making reckless decisions. Yeah, there's an interception there. But overall, this is a very complete package, right, of what you're seeing from a quarterback who was in the MVP conversation, who led a team to the Super Bowl last year. It's just you see it and you're like, offensively, I don't think he's the issue at all. It doesn't really matter how you do it, right? So maybe this Eagles team isn't the Eagles team from last year where it was explosive. To be fair, too, I think because they were so explosive is because people didn't expect them to be able to throw the ball how they did. I think it's that, too. I think now that they understand, he can stay in his pocket and deliver big throws, and he would actually probably prefer to rather than just running out of his pocket. I think now everyone's just on alert now. I think last year it's like, he kind of caught us off guard here. Like, the thing that we talked about was, can he throw the ball? And Jalen Hurts is, and he's going to run. And then they got the push-tush over there, the tush-push and everything. So I think it's just now I think people understand that this team is very good and they have the offensive weapons to do it, to where now it just looks a little different. But it's just a tad. It just looks a little bit different, and people have been look at explosive. But again, it's very early in the season. You start finding your wrist, start finding your guys, kind of play calls in. It's going to change every week. But I'm intrigued to see what they look like offensively as the year goes on and they start playing some really tough defenses, because I'm looking like, man, when y'all face the Cowboys, because that Cowboys defense is looking good right now. They looking different. So I'm excited to see what it looks like when they start playing really solid defenses. Like, to me, the Vikings defense is solid, but like really on all tiers, like your edge rush, your up front guys, middle of the field with your linebackers, safeties, and your corners being able. I'm excited to see how they react to playing teams that can really, in a sense, defend at all three levels of that scheme offensively. So again, no discredit to the Eagles. Just looks a little different. I'm just trying to see what it's going to end up looking like and developing as the season goes on. So I said that I was going to talk about Noah Lyles. And if you don't know who he is, an American men's sprinter, pretty much claimed as the fastest man in the world since the World Championships. I mean, he had a three-peat. And he made a comment after basically saying, you know what? I'm actually going to start with this. The question he was asked, I actually don't think it pertained maybe to the answer, but I think there was hints of it. And his answer ended up being that he just doesn't understand how, as Americans, and how that he loves his country and everything, that, and he used the NBA as an example, that you could call yourself world champions. And he was like, world champions of what?
The United States? You know, the thing that hurts me the most is that I have to watch the NBA Finals and they have world champion on their head. World champion of what? The United States? Don't get me wrong. I love the U.S. at times. But that ain't the world. That is not the world. We are the world. We have almost every country out here fighting, thriving, putting on their flag to show that they are represented. There ain't no flags in the NBA.
World champions, what? Because in his mind, just because you win an NBA Finals, this was his example, not mine. Just because you win an NBA Finals and you got the hat that says world champions, that's not accurate to him. Big frenzy, NBA players, everyone upset, commenting on it. And he spoke more about this on a recent interview with Brandon Marshall, where he said, when I said it, he was like, I understand that the NBA, that is the best of the best. We have the best of the best here in the United States. Yes. He was like, I'm more so speaking that when you call yourself world champion, I feel like you should have to face the world. And the only times that maybe we basketball wise get to say that is Olympics or FIBA World Cup time, not necessarily NBA Finals. And this is what I believe. I believe how he said it is why it wasn't received the correct way. He was a little bit aggressive when he first stated it, right? Where it's world champions of what? So if you're in the NBA and you're hearing that and you part of the 1% that's there and you consider yourself the best in the world, you gonna take offense to that. That is fair. Because it's hey man, we rooting for you. We root for you to win. Why are you coming at us? But then when he sat down with Brandon Marshall and really talked about it, his tone was different. He really explained it. I was like, see, now if you would have explained this like this the first time, I think everyone would have probably had a different reaction. They would have been like, all right, I get what he's saying. But he was so aggressive in the beginning, I think it just was man, I don't even want to hear what you're saying because I feel like you telling us we suck. That's how I feel like they probably took it. I was always, when I heard it, taking away his tone, felt like I understood what he was initially saying, which is I just had to compete against the world to win these titles, to win the name, new fastest man. I had to compete against the world. And I feel like in the NBA, y'all aren't competing against the world on a continuous basis to say that. I feel like I understood the logistics of what he was getting at when in terms of competition and the title. It doesn't help when USA doesn't win the FIBA World Cup. It doesn't help the argument because it proves a little bit that he was right. Y'all didn't even win the World Cup. So y'all really aren't world champions. It's all fair things, right? And now we got the Avengers about to assemble to the Olympics, which I'm going to be honest with you. The no Lyles comment, I think is all going to work out for us in the end because I believe it kind of put the NBA all right, we had lost the World Cup. We got him really proving his point. The Avengers need to assemble, and we need to go bring the gold home in Paris. I'm okay with that. But I think okay, you guys, right here, my audio cut off. So this over, you can look at my mouth, but the words are different. Basically, I was just continuing to say that I think we all looked at the comment as though he was trying to say, the guys in the NBA aren't the best in the world. I feel like that's what a lot of people gathered from it, instead of understanding that he is trying to say to have the title, those two titles are vastly different to him. That NBA champion is different, that world champion is different. And to be fair, to really see all sides of the argument, it is hard to even try to use the title as such a validation of a thing because both sports are vastly different. Track is a very individual sport where it is more of an international sport, right? Basketball is international, don't get me wrong, but it has expanded to that point throughout this years and the evolution of the game, right? So to me, the argument is unfair for both sides in a sense, but there is some validity and justification to what Noah Lyles was saying when you're using terms world champion. Now, I did find it interesting because a lot of guys in the NBA who are not from the U.S., you're talking about guys from France, you're talking about guys from Greece. I mean, we could really use Giannis as the best example because he went in the interview recently and was like, I didn't see a problem with what Noah Lyles said. I feel like he was correct. And even though he never came out and said it, because like he said, he was like, if I came out and said it, there would have been backlash. People would have thought I was trying to say the NBA isn't the best. But for other guys who are not from the U.S., that are not from America, they see it kind of how Noah was saying it, which is, I mean, you got to compete against the world. So I feel like the argument that he was saying is fair and that people just couldn't understand it. Hoping that you guys have a great week. Hopefully you were able to pop this on while you were in the car. Maybe you were going somewhere, cleaning around the house, whatever the case may be. But so happy that you were able to come to the channel to talk with me. Again, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell somebody, tell your friend, tell your mom, tell everyone. Share it on all platforms. Interact with me in the comments. Tell me some things that you feel like you want to hear my opinion on or you want to talk about and debate later on next week. But I always appreciate you guys for tuning in. I truly, truly, truly do. You don't understand how much it blesses me. So I hope it's a blessing to you too, and that we kind of have this relationship. I like coming to talk to y'all guys. I don't like to miss a week with y'all. So hopefully when y'all listen to this, you be excited to see me too. So again, I appreciate you guys so much. I hope y'all have an amazing week. Like, comment, subscribe, share on the channel, and I'll be seeing y'all next week.